Bengals up next.
This is my boy.
This is your boy? Who's your boy?
Joe Cool, baby.
Joe Cool's your boy? You refer to him as your boy?
He's my boy. Yeah, no, we go way back. We have a connection.
All right, so Cincinnati's up next. They're sitting at 10.5 as well. Prop Beaver said that he likes Bengals in the Super Bowl, right? He was under the influence when he made that prediction. He said he was drinking and told his friends Bengals would be in the Super Bowl when he was drinking, and whatever. So we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. 10.5 wins, juiced pretty heavily to the over. Looks like minus 130 on DraftKings. All right, so I'm going to mute my mic again. Wait until Prop Beaver gets the poll up. So I'm going to mute my mic again and let these guys take it because I haven't looked at the Bengals yet. I'm all ears here. So I'm muting my mic now.
By the way, we have another coordinator who is, I believe, younger than me here too. Yes, first-year offensive coordinator, Dan Pitcher. He is 37 years old, also younger than me. So I don't know what's going on. But first-time coordinators, we'll see what happens. That's one of the bigger worries. But honestly, it's the quarterback coach. He knows Burrow. It's not some random guy. But
another thing though, real quick, Jabbo, he's not really gonna be the play caller though. So is it that big of a worry?
Nah. No, I agree.
I gotta say that the ranking the AFC North, I feel. I mean, I've been looking at a lot of teams thus far. I feel like this is the hardest division to do these win totals for. I mean, Jesus Christ, this is a tough one.
They all finished above 500 last year. I mean, and I could see it again. I could see any team finish first, second, third, or fourth and not really bat an eye.
Yeah. Like, okay. I mean, I guess kind of the odds for this one took me a bit back. I didn't expect this to be minus 140, minus 145 on some books. I was expecting more of the minus 115 near the Ravens. So I guess one thing immediately that stood out to me is the fact that the books are pricing the Bengals as the leader in this division. So that's immediately something that stood out to me. I mean, if you just want to look at this team in terms of additions and subtractions, we could do that to start off. Where is that real quick?
They did lose one of the most boring running backs in history.
They lost Joe Mixon, the inefficient king himself, a man who didn't fit the scheme of the offense, a man who does not like running out of the shotgun, a man who likes to run under center, but they ran out of the shotgun specifically, so it didn't make any sense. I actually like that they brought in Zach Moss. Zach Moss is excellent running out of the shotgun, and now they brought him in. I just got a report 2 hours ago that he is the starting running back, so for all my fantasy heads out there, for all my Chase Brown heads who are gobbling him up right now, just keep that in mind for your drafts. Zach Moss, apparently on the depth chart right now, is the starting running back. He's the guy that I've been targeting over Brown too. We're going to talk about him when we get to the underdog section of this. But, in terms of the additions, they did replace Zach Moss with Joe Mixon. I don't know about you, Jabbo. I know it's only a one-year sample size, but if we're just looking at last year alone, Zach Moss is a pretty sizable upgrade over Joe Mixon,
Much better. Yeah, no, absolutely much better. I mean, in his defense, the Colts had a better line.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it's not even close. But, yes, no, he was explosive last year. Zach Moss had actually a few, disappointing years before that.
Absolutely.
So we'll see what he does in this system. But yeah, losing Mixon is not a big deal to me. It's really losing Tyler Boyd. I think will hurt him a little bit. That was a good third receiver for them.
Absolutely.
You guys need to talk about Joe Burrow's numbers under pressure last year. You forgot how to handle pressure.
All right, we will talk about Joe Burrow's numbers under pressure. Thank you, Kyle.
Forgot how to handle pressure.
So we'll talk about Burrow's numbers under pressure. Continuing with the offensive additions, and let's talk about O-line. They continue to address this offensive line. They bring in Trent Brown. That is now their third offensive tackle that is 6'8" or higher. Yes, you've heard that. Because they also drafted the kid Mims, Amarius Mims, out of, I believe, Alabama. So they now have Amarius Mims, 6'8". Trent Brown,
Georgia,
6'8".
Georgia.
Oh, out of Georgia. My bad. SEC. I'm sorry. I mixed my SECs up. Yeah, so we got Mims, 6'8". Trent Brown, 6'8". And the other guy, Orlando Brown, 6'8". We got 3 6'8" guys. For the love of Christ, if this offensive line isn't working, I don't know what is. They also bring in Geno Stone. So in terms of the additions, wasn't the prettiest offseason for them. But, I mean, not really much in terms of that for them.
I think it's an average O-line. I mean, but it's going to come down to these young guys. Now, Amarius Mims out of Georgia, I see someone there in the background who's about to hop on that did not like it. You said he's from Alabama.
Oh, my God. Andy, keep fucking pipe down.
But if you don't know about Mims, he allowed 1 pressure on 168 pass blocking snaps in 2023 last year.
Damn.
Only 11 games, but he was pretty good. It doesn't mean it correlates right to the NFL. But hopefully Trent Brown can still play. Orlando Brown needs to not suck because he sucked last year. But they did have an interior offensive lineman come back. Alex Kapp was a good guard, obviously, and they got some good players on the O-line. I think it's going to be better than the Ravens, but I don't think this O-line is anything, top 5 or top 10 or anything. But I think they're kind of building to be an offensive line that can pass block, to be honest with you. So.
Okay, now Kyle wants to talk about the offensive line and obviously the pressure numbers here. Joe Burrow, horrendous last season. Wait, Kyle.
I mixed it up.
Okay, so my friend Kyle was telling me to bring up a point that is mute. He doesn't read well. It's hard for him.
One of the worst quarterbacks in the league when given a clean pocket.
So Burrow last year, one of the worst quarterbacks in the league when given a clean pocket. I don't know what. I guess the point he wants me to make is don't give him better O-line. I don't know what he wants me to say here.
Question.
Is Joe Burrow still elite quarterback is what Kyle wants me to ask. And what I'm going to tell Kyle right now is to shut the fuck up. That is the silliest thing I've ever heard asked on camera. Let me go ahead and let's talk about Joe Burrow real quick, because let's look at the Joe Burrow from the first 4 weeks of last year. I mean, it was...
By the way, I think he can fix that. I think clean pockets a little easier to fix than if he got pressure in the face. But he's making fun of Burrow, so I'm not a fan right now.
Yeah.
He had terrible numbers when given a clean pocket, and he had terrible numbers against man coverage.
Okay, listen. Burrow was heinous the first 4 weeks of the season. The calf, it was bothering him. The man was cramping.
He was a shell of himself for the first few weeks.
33rd in completion percentage, 34th in passer rating. Obviously, the guy was booty stank OG. But if you look at weeks 5 through 8, first in completion percentage, first in passer rating. And it's not like he was facing schmucks either. I mean, he faced the 49ers during that span. He faced another good defense during that span. So let's relax a little bit. The first 4 weeks, he was awful. The next 4 weeks, he was fantastic. And then he got injured. So I feel like everybody's overreacting to the first 4 weeks saying, Burrow, he needs to prove it to me. He did prove it the next 4 weeks. Let's not overreact.
2 things real quick on that. I think they went 4-1 after that rough start.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Jesus Christ.
And one of those wins, he went 28 for 32 and 3 TDs against the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, he lit them up. Were those numbers on Burrow? Was that just last year Kyle was talking about? You're talking about, or was this his career?
The numbers that concerned me for Joe Burrow last year was he couldn't beat man coverage from a clean pocket, and if you can't beat man coverage from a clean pocket with those receivers, that's a problem. I mean, you throw any quarterback in there and give them Jamar Chase and clean pocket and man coverage, you need to beat that. Any quarterback in the league. And it was a little concerning. Yeah, early on he was dealing with an injury for sure. But then they brought in the Washington kid who actually looked better than Joe Burrow. And I mean, numbers-wise, you can make an argument that he outperformed Joe Burrow in the latter part of the season. I won a few bets on him. So is Joe Burrow a system quarterback here?
Whoa.
I'm unsure about Joe Burrow. I'll say it.
I got you. Now, was that mostly last year, or are you looking career? Okay.
No, just last year. It was almost the opposite of what we've seen from him. That's why it was like, what's going on? I mean, this dude is getting clean pockets and man coverage and can't beat it with Jamar Chase.
Does anyone know, was he seeing a ton of man coverage at LSU when they're scoring 100 a week, or were they a ton of zone? I don't watch college enough. Probably.
Andy would probably know that, but I don't.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah. So you guys seem pretty pro Bengals. If you look at their schedule, you could definitely see why. Well, actually, you guys want to talk about the defense first before we look at the schedule? All right. So I'll mute my mic and let these guys talk about the defense. I'm not as big as Joe Burrow, I'll say that, but I'm muting my mic now. It's time for the Bengals defense.
Yeah, they gave up 22.6 points per game last year, 21st. They had some struggles. They were 31st in yards per game, but obviously better points. Pass defense struggled. Here's what I love about this Bengals team and why I think they can do something this year is I love their defensive line. I think it's deep, not necessarily just filled with 3 or 4 absolutely elite guys, but I think it's super deep. The one loss they had that I think is bigger than people think is losing DJ Reader. I don't know if you know, but numbers with and without DJ Reader on run defense is insane. Like, he is one hell of a run defender.
Absolutely.
Run stuffer. He went to the Lions, I believe, right?
Yes,
Is that right?
he's in Detroit.
And that's going to be huge for them. But I mean, you're talking about Sam Hubbard, Hendrickson. My goodness, second most sacks in the NFL.
Mhm.
Sheldon Rankins brought in, PJ Hill, Chris Jenkins now. Run stuffer, McKinley Jackson. I mean, we're talking about a defense that I think can just load people in and is actually pretty good. I don't know what you think about this, but
Yeah, I mean, I really do like the defensive line, as you said. The defensive line is good. It's the secondary where I do get a little bit weary. It's honestly the safeties were the main issue last year. They felt the effects of not having Jesse Bates and Von Bell. Holy Christ! I mean, I forget. I'm trying to pull up the stat real quick. I believe it was outside. So it wasn't the middle of the field. Deep. It was deep and outside the numbers. They allowed the most yards in the league. They were just getting absolutely cooked deep and outside the numbers. But Lou Anarumo is a guy who I've learned to respect as a defensive coordinator, especially when it gets to those important games, especially those playoff games. In the playoffs, this dude creates some absurd game plans.
And even just to kind of go with you, so I think I just heard their safety Dax Hill is converting to a DB now. Is that right? Which doesn't. Now that they got Von Bell, Geno Stone, things like that. So I don't know if that's the case, but Cam Taylor-Britt, they're going to need to continue to, improve and step up. But I do think they are weak in the secondary for sure.
Yeah, so really, I feel like a lot of this comes to the secondary. If the secondary is playing cohesive like it didn't last season, but it did the year before, then I think that this is going to be a good defense, and I think overall is going to be a good team because I think the offense is going to be good. Sure, losing Tyler Boyd hurts, but Jermaine Burton, I really liked as a draft selection out of Alabama. I think Iosivas is underrated as a wide receiver. And then who was that? That other wide receiver they had, the white guy. He wasn't even bad in the limited action that he saw last season. So. Not River Craycraft, another guy, but
no, I know who you're talking
Trenton
about.
Irwin. So Trenton Irwin wasn't even bad when he got looks last season too. So
I think he had over 300 yards. I got a few starts.
Yeah, and they also added Mike Gesicki, who is not really even a true tight end. He could be even used as a smaller wide receiver too. Well, as a bigger wide receiver too. So yeah, I like the offense. The defense is hit or miss. The problem is this win total. The good news for the Bengals, though, is last season they saw one of the hardest schedules in recent history, according to FDN and their DVOA tracking. They have the 5th easiest schedule, according to their tracking this season. Let's go ahead and look at that schedule.
It helps when you finish last place because you get that last place schedule.
Absolutely.
To be honest with you, when I went through their schedule, it's kind of cut and dry. Like, there is 7 wins where you just lock them in.
Really?
They have, it's wild. There's just seven games where it's like, all right, now we just need to find 4 more. I mean, that's kind of where I went. So
okay, so let's take a look at that now.
Yeah, it's an easy schedule.
Easy. Okay. Well, Kyle's saying it's easy over there. So all right.
And I don't like Joe Burrow.
And this guy doesn't like Joe Burrow. All right. So
Okay.
where's the friggin' browser thing?
see, they start easy too, and the Bengals have been a team and Burrow that have kind of started out slow last few years. So I think it's going to be huge for them to start out with 3 absolute cupcakes out of the first 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think they can beat Kansas City too after the Chiefs beat the Ravens in Week 1.
Where's the window capture? Okay.
I don't disagree with them.
Come on, man. There we go. Whew. That was taking forever. All right.
Yep.
So, as you can see, they start off with New England. Yeah, you can take the mic, Kyle. Let me mute myself real quick.
Okay, so we got the Bengals schedule open, and no question these guys are spot on. This is a cupcake of a schedule here. I think the Chiefs are going to beat Baltimore in Week 1. So I'm actually considering because I'm actually considering laying the -2. Everything good? You're set up? So I'm actually considering laying the 2.5 on ESPN Bet right now, hoping, because I don't know if there's going to be 3. I'm going to be taking the Chiefs in that Week 1 game. I'm almost sure. No. I'm saying, yeah, obviously they beat New England Week 1, but I'm talking about Week 2. I think the Chiefs will beat Baltimore in Week 1, and then we could catch them snapping and not napping. They're gonna be napping, but in Week 2, this is like a rivalry game, the Cincinnati, Kansas City. I don't think it's crazy to think the Bengals could be sitting at 4-0 going into that Baltimore game in Week 5.
Now, and since he's shown they can beat KC, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's like a rivalry there, and
Yeah.
so damn. And then after, let's say the Baltimore game's a loss. Let's say they'll win one of Baltimore and Kansas City. That's 4-1, 5-1 win at Cleveland, probably lost. Home against Philly. I mean,
It's one of those swing games, in my opinion.
another, they'll beat Las Vegas. They'll beat the Chargers at Baltimore. Let's say probably a loss. They'll probably beat the Steelers at home. At Dallas, maybe a loss. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that I don't even like this team, but I don't know how. Like, it seems like 11 is more likely than 9.
Yeah. After those 7 cupcakes, you just need to go 4-6 in the last. And we're talking they end with Tennessee and Denver as 2 of the last 4. Like, obviously, we don't know where the teams are going to be, but yeah, this isn't necessarily saying the Bengals are just 10 times better than the Ravens. It's just a schedule thing, really.
Because even if the Bengals don't even have the greatest season, if they're in playoff contention at the end of the year, you got week 17 and 18, like he just said, Denver, Pittsburgh, and if those are 2 must-win games, I mean, this team could be sitting at 9-6, like right in the mix, and still get over this number because they play 2 home cupcake games at the end. So I guess it would be. I'm not betting this, but I guess it has to be. No, I don't like this team, man. I'm not. No, take the over off me. I don't even want that up.
It is what, minus 140 though, over 10.5. Is that what we're getting
minus
right
130 on DraftKings? I saw this 130.
Yeah, well, that's okay, Kyle. You can just go plus 700 to win the AFC if you want.
No, I'm not. I don't even want that over underneath my face, man. All right, time to talk some college football. Real quick, Steve, want to tell the folks where they can find your channel?
Yeah, absolutely. Go check us out on YouTube, Just a Bet Outside, and on Twitter as well. We do NFL, MLB, NBA, give out a ton of research help, as well as giving out best bets, and just have a lot of fun doing it. So, yeah, appreciate you guys having me on. It's always fun to talk some football.
For sure. And we'll see you on Wednesday, right?
Yep, you got it.
All right, cool.
All right, later.
All right, Andy, you ready to talk some real ball? Me and Andy, we're talking Troy football. Now we're going to be talking real ball.